In this video, you'll see how to build a simple automation that turns a short sentence into a task inside Todoist using Zapier. Step by step, from scratch. No code. No complex workflows. And no manual copy-paste. If you watched my previous video about Todoist, you already know that the real problem is not the tool itself. Todoist works great. Most tools work great. The real problem is how we capture tasks in the first place. Ideas usually come at the wrong time. When we're busy, distracted, or focused on something else. And in those moments, opening the right app, choosing the right project, and organizing everything creates friction. That friction is exactly why tasks get lost. So the goal here is very simple. I want to capture a task as fast as possible, with zero thinking and zero resistance. I just want to write it down and move on, and let the system take care of everything else. Before we build anything, let me show you the final result. I already have this form saved in my bookmarks. This is my single entry point. Everything starts here. Whenever I have something to do, I don't open Todoist. I don't think about projects. I don't organize anything. I don't make decisions. I just write. For example, record the Zapier tutorial. Now I click Submit. Nothing else to do. Zapier takes that input, processes it in the background, and automatically creates a task inside Todoist. The task appears in just a few seconds. No switching between apps. No duplicate typing. No interruption to my focus. This is what automation is really about. Less friction, more execution. Small systems like this save time every day. But more importantly, they reduce mental load. You don't need to remember where to write things. You only need one place to capture them. Now that you've seen the final result, it's time to build the automation behind it. Let's move into Zapier and create this Zap step by step from scratch. Now let's start building everything from scratch. We'll begin with the form. This form will be the entry point for our entire system. From Zapier, I click on Create. Then I select Interface. Here, Zapier allows us to create simple pages without writing any code. I choose to create a new page, and I select a basic form layout. This form doesn't need to be complex. In fact, the simpler it is, the better it works. I add a single text field. I call this field Task. This is where we'll write what we need to do. No extra fields, no priorities, no categories. Just one input. The goal here is speed. Now I save the page. The form is ready. Now we can move to the automation itself. From Zapier, I click on Create again. And this time, I select Zap. This is where the automation logic lives. For the trigger, I choose Zapier Interfaces. As the trigger event, I select Form Submission Created. This means the automation will start every time the form is submitted. I click Continue. Now, Zapier asks which interface we want to use. I open the Interfaces menu, and I select the page we just created. In my case, this page is called Quick Capture. This connects the form to the automation. Now we run a test. Zapier uses one form submission as an example. This is only for testing. It does not limit the automation in any way. Every future submission will work the same way. Once the test is successful, the trigger is ready. At this point, Zapier knows when to start. In the next step, we'll decide what happens after the form is submitted. This is where we connect everything to Todoist. Before we connect anything to Todoist, we need one more step. We need a place to store the data. This is where Zapier Tables comes in. I add a new action, and I search for Zapier Tables. I select Create Record. This action allows Zapier to save the data from the form into a table. I click Continue. Now Zapier asks which table we want to use. Since this is a new project, I create a new table. I'll keep the name very simple. I call it Tasks. Now we need to tell Zapier what data to store. For the text field, I don't write anything manually. Instead, I use the data coming from the form. I select Form Data, then Task. This means that whatever is written in the form will be saved inside the table. This step is optional but very useful. It allows us to keep a log, a backup, or a history of all tasks. If something breaks, we still have the data. Now I test this step. Zapier creates a new record inside the table. The text from the form is now saved correctly. With this done, we're ready to move on to the final step. Now we can connect everything to Todoist. Now we can move to the final step of this automation. This is where everything comes together. I add one more action. I search for Todoist, and I select Create Task. This tells Zapier to create a real task inside Todoist. I click Continue. Now we configure the task itself. For the project, I'll keep things simple and use the inbox. This way, all tasks land in one place. Now comes the most important part. For the task title, I do not type anything manually. Instead, I take the text coming from the form. I select Form Data, then Task. This means that whatever is written in the form becomes the title of the task inside Todoist. Optionally, I can add a due date. For example, I can write Today. Todoist understands natural language, so this works automatically. I can also add a short note, just to remember where this task comes from. For example, created automatically with Zapier. Now I test this action. Zapier creates a task inside Todoist. I open Todoist to confirm everything works. The task is there. Now let's do a final test from the form. I go back to the form. I write a new task. For example, finish the Zapier tutorial. I submit the form. And now, if I open Todoist again, the task appears automatically. This is the full system working end-to-end. From a simple form, to a table, to a real task inside Todoist. You build this once, and then you never think about it again. This is how automation should work. Let's do one more quick test, and just write test. You've now seen how to build a simple automation that captures tasks without friction. If this workflow was useful to you, leave a like. It really helps the channel grow and tells YouTube this content is valuable. For more videos about practical AI tools and productivity systems, make sure to subscribe. Work smarter. Let AI do the heavy lifting.